created this gorgeous dress from Rendoll Lagos. It's the Selena dress from their Soirée 2020 collection and it retails for about £90. It is a midi dress that can be adjusted to a ruched mini dress. What made making this dress interesting is the fact that I've actually never seen the back of this dress. I searched their website, I searched their Instagram, I searched their Twitter, never seen the back of this dress. So I had to be, kind of creative with that. They are very size inclusive, from a UK size 6 to a UK size 24, and the fabric is a baby blue polyester velvet. Okay, so for this part, I used the illustration. I'm not an artist and this is not my work. I'll be tagging everybody I need to tag in the description below, so yeah. But for the measurements, I used the circumference under the bust, which I tagged as C. The waist measurement I tagged as D. The hip circumference measurement I tagged as E. And of course the length, but B, not A. A is not too relevant to what's happening here. I used my measurements, of course, and note that even though I said circumference, I actually wrote half the measurement. So where my underbust circumference would be 29 inches, I noted that as 14.5 inches, which you can see. Okay, so this, of course, is my work. I tried to give you a rough draft, so please don't roast me. We're gonna have 10 pieces in total. We're gonna have the body part of the dress, front and back. The strings for ruching, 4 of them, so 2 on each side. We're gonna have the strips, kind of, for the top, for as many boobs as you want to cover, in this case 2. We're gonna have 2 straps for the back, and this is to fashion some kind of fastening device, for a lack of a better word, as you'll come to see. Just showing you what I used: a pair of scissors, some thread, pins, tailor. I actually didn't use the tailor's chalk, but let's just have that there, okay? Measuring tape and a seam ripper because I make so many mistakes, and of course the fabric. So if you've ever held velvet, you know that it has a soft, distinct feel, kind of like there's fur on the top. This is actually called piles, and the direction of the piles will determine how the velvet is going to look. So in one direction it may appear lighter, and in another direction it may appear darker. This is something you need to remember when you are cutting your fabric, so that you make sure that everything faces one direction. If not, it's going to be weird. Also, my velvet is super stretchy on one side, which is why I chose not to have a zip or a button or any other kind of fastening device, but know that that is an option. I did a quick pattern with my measurements on paper: the underbust, the waist, the hips, and length, of course. And I know I said to leave a ½ inch allowance, or maybe I didn't, but I sometimes do an inch because I'm like, I don't want to make any mistakes, and I make a lot of mistakes because I'm really not a professional. Here I was just pinning my fabric so when I cut it doesn't move. Actually, someone told me I could use a rotary blade for this purpose, but that requires buying a special mat, and I'm just not doing that right now. But know that is an option. A rotary blade helps you to cut multiple layers of fabric at a time, and your fabric doesn't slide against the surface or against each other if it's multiple layers. I also pinned the pattern to the fabric just for safety and so that it doesn't slide, and then I started cutting. So for the strings, I could not hack it with velvet, so I decided to use bias strip instead. I sewed the bias strip down, just a straight stitch down. Remember I said 2 on each side. Unfortunately, I didn't show it, but I hemmed the end of the dress and then proceeded to sew the body of the dress along the sides. Next, I measured for the strips for the top of the dress 16 inches by 40 inches, which I divided into 2 equal halves so that I had 8 inches by 40 inches, 2 pieces of that. There was no real method to arriving at this, I just kind of eyeballed it. These are my 2 8 by 40 inch strips. The rest of the fabric was used to make the back straps, which I sewed together to form a kind of tube, and because I cut it along the width of the dress, it was also stretchy. I finished the edge for my front strips and I proceeded to fold it once and sew it down. So you remember when we sewed down the sides of the body of the dress? I finished the raw edge of that side and then I sewed down along the line so it formed some kind of passage which we're going to use for our bias strips. Using a safety pin, I passed the bias strip on both sides of the sew down seam and then I knotted it at the bottom. Top, I sewed the bias strip to secure it, and this is what we have. I needed to finish and sew down the top of the dress around the underbust, but before that, I decided to go ahead and make gathers for the strips of the front of the top. I threaded a needle, and then I made a knot on one side of the thread, which would be longer than the other side. Then I made a simple running stitch along the bottom of the strip. And then arrange the gathers as I liked. Then when I was hemming the top of the dress, I just attached the body to the top and did the same for the back straps. For the back straps, I also didn't use any real measurements, but I have about 4.5 inches between both straps, so that will be about 2.25 inches from the center of the back. To wear the dress, all I had to do was make a simple tie with the front strip and the back strap, and then I made 2 loops with the back strap around the front strip and then passed the back strap backwards through those loops and adjusted it, and that was all. But enjoy me taking my sweet time. watching. All the links and tags will be down below in the description.